When we look up at the night sky, it's so easy to just assume Earth is floating completely freely in some endless empty ocean of stars. But honestly, the reality is way more structured, way more chaotic, and frankly, kind of terrifying. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're literally mapping the invisible architecture of our galaxy, and we're going to reveal the immense unseen structures that have absolutely shaped the entire history of life on our planet.
So that brings us to a massive, mind-bending cosmic mystery. Is Earth actually hiding inside a cosmic void? Now, for decades, astronomers noticed something super strange about our immediate galactic neighborhood, right? Like out in deep space, it is absolutely packed with dense clouds of interstellar dust and glowing gas. But the space immediately surrounding our solar system, it seemed almost completely empty. It seriously looked like we were just hanging out in an absolute void. And well, recent data has proven that, yep, we are indeed sitting right inside a highly specific, highly protective bubble.
But to really wrap your head around our place in the universe, you first have to grasp the sheer, awe-inspiring scale of this void. It is a staggering 1,000 light-years in diameter. Just let that sink in for a second. Even if you were traveling at the absolute speed limit of the universe, the speed of light, it would literally take you a whole millennium just to cross from one side to the other. So this isn't just some tiny little pocket of empty space. No, this is a monumental, cavernous clearing right in the Milky Way galaxy, and our solar system is currently navigating straight through the heart of it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the invisible cosmic shields.
To really appreciate how incredibly lucky we are, you gotta know that the cosmos actually packed us into two distinct layers of protection. Basically, two invisible cosmic shields, keeping the absolute harshest realities of the galaxy totally at bay. First up, we've got the inner shield, the heliosphere. Now, this is a bubble created by our own sun, formed by the solar wind constantly pushing outward, and it extends for about 11 billion miles. Which, sure, sounds completely massive to us, but on a galactic scale, it's actually pretty tiny. Then we have the outer shield, the local bubble. This is that massive 1,000 light-year wide void we just talked about. And unlike the heliosphere, which is actively made by a living star, the local bubble was actually carved out by the violent, explosive deaths of ancient stars. Let's zoom in a little closer on that inner shield first. When the Voyager 1 and 2 spacecraft finally reached the very edge of the heliosphere, they beamed back this incredible data about what actually goes on out there. Basically, at this boundary, the solar plasma blowing outward from our sun collides head-on with interstellar plasma, and it creates a literal traffic jam. The density of particles completely spikes, creating this chaotic boundary layer that safely deflects massive amounts of high-energy cosmic radiation right away from Earth. So think of it as the universe's most aggressive but totally helpful bouncer.
Moving on to Section 2, anatomy of the local bubble.
Now, zooming way out, past the heliosphere, past the icy comets of the Oort cloud, we hit the local bubble itself. And by definition, it's exactly what it sounds like, a giant, nearly empty cosmic void measuring a whopping 1,000 light-years across. Inside this bubble, all that interstellar dust and gas, it's been virtually completely swept away. But right at the very edges of this enormous void, there's this dense, compressed surface of interstellar gas and material that essentially got shoved outward to form the boundary. So, compared to the really dusty, chaotic clouds of deep space, our solar system is actually anchored in an incredibly quiet, empty little pocket. To really visualize exactly how this looks, there's this brilliant quote from the researchers over at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. They say, "The cosmos is like Swiss cheese. The holes are punched out by supernova explosions, and new stars form on the edge." And honestly, it is just such a perfect analogy. Our Milky Way isn't just this solid, uniform disk of material. It's completely riddled with these massive holes. The local bubble is just the specific hole in the cosmic Swiss cheese that we happen to be occupying right now.
And what's truly mind-blowing here is that this bubble is not just sitting there, it isn't static. According to some insanely precise data collected by the European Space Agency's Gaia Observatory, this bubble is still expanding outward at a really brisk 4 miles per second. So yeah, it's a living, growing structure, still pushing against the surrounding interstellar medium, actively claiming more and more space in the galaxy as we speak. How wild is that?
All right, Section 3, forged in supernova fire.
So you might be wondering, how exactly does a 1,000 light-year clearing get there in the first place? Well, it requires some catastrophic violence. About 14 million years ago, a massive supernova detonates. Boom! Then, over the next several million years, this crazy chain reaction kicks off, with about 15 total supernovae exploding in the exact same general area. The sheer force and the intense light pressure from these cataclysmic explosions essentially acted like a giant cosmic snowplow, violently pushing all that interstellar gas and dust outward. As that material started piling up at the edges, this dense boundary formed. And here's the coolest part. Out of that compressed material, right on the surface of our bubble, scientists have detected 7 distinct molecular clouds. These are literal stellar nurseries where brand new stars are being born today. So the explosive death of those 15 stars directly created the nursery for totally new ones right at the edges of our bubble.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is section 4, the sun's lucky timing. Because here is the ultimate cosmic plot twist. Our solar system wasn't actually anywhere near here when all of this happened. Think about it. 14 million years ago, all those supernovae were detonating and violently carving out the local bubble, but our sun was just hanging out about 1,000 light years away from the scene of the crime. But, of course, our sun orbits the center of the galaxy, and as it traveled along its path, about 5 million years ago, it totally serendipitously drifted right into this pre-existing local bubble. And today? Well, humanity has completely evolved and entered the space age exactly while the sun is sitting comfortably right in the dead center of this protective void. We literally just happen to wander into a perfectly prepared cosmic safe haven. So what exactly are we being protected from? Like, why is this so incredibly lucky for us? Well, because outside this bubble are the galactic arms. Our galaxy is a spiral, and its arms are absolutely packed with incredibly dense interstellar gas clouds. And when our solar system passes through these arms, the ambient radiation levels jump hundreds of times higher. In fact, when astrophysicists mapped out the sun's historical orbit, they found this really chilling correlation. Crossing these dense galactic arms aligns directly with 5 major mass extinction events on Earth. We're talking 415, 322, 300, 145, and 33 million years ago. So yeah, the environment outside our bubble, it is incredibly hostile to life.
Which means that right now, Earth is anchored in what you could call a quiet harbor. We are currently located almost exactly halfway between the Sagittarius arm and the Perseus arm of the Milky Way, just sitting safely inside our dust-free bubble. We are in a highly favorable, super peaceful environment right now. In fact, humanity's entire existence as a species has played out while the sun has been coasting through this incredibly fortunate, quiet stretch of the galaxy.
Which brings us to section 5, our window to the stars. You see, this massive void does a lot more than just keep us safe. It actually gives us some incredible everyday perks, because those supernovae basically acted like a giant broom, sweeping away all that thick cosmic dust. We are treated to a crystal clear, incredibly colorful night sky. Seriously, if we weren't practically sitting in a void, a ton of the stars you see at night would be completely invisible to us, just shrouded behind massive dark clouds. Our entire understanding of the cosmos, our whole ability to see distant galaxies and literally map the universe, is a direct result of having this clear window to look through. And looking forward, well, for any future interstellar spacecraft traveling at really high speeds, this dust-free zone is absolutely vital. In dense space, even a microscopic dust particle would strike a fast-moving ship with devastating force, basically grinding it to a powder. So, our bubble has quite literally cleared a safe path for us to explore. But as we all know, absolutely nothing in the universe stays still forever. It takes us about 200 million years to complete just one single lap around the Milky Way. We are constantly on the move, which leaves us with this profound, maybe even slightly chilling question to end on. What happens to Earth when our sun inevitably drifts out of this incredible safe haven and plunges right back into the chaotic galactic storm? Something to think about next time you're looking up.